I'm a little afraid to make this video because I think it's gonna come across that I'm judging people's and streamers' choices. However, there's been something on my mind that I feel like needs to be said. Now, most of the time when I drop into a new Twitch channel, one of the very first things I do is kind of check out their emote lineup. I'm so curious to know what kind of emotes are people using and what do they have? And I'm almost always disappointed. I'm gonna tell you exactly why. Hi guys, my name is Ashe and I've been streaming on Twitch for over 3 years now. Actually, it's a lot longer than 3 years. The math's somewhere in there. But I've been around the block fairly long enough that I remember when affiliates only had one emote slot compared to all the emotes that partners had. And I think it was one of the most necessary and crucial challenges for me, especially when I first started off streaming, because it forced me to really think hard about my emotes and try to differentiate myself from everyone else and everything that I couldn't provide compared to partners. Anyways, that's not the point. So this video is about how Twitch streamers, be it affiliate or partner, are making mistakes with their emotes. And I've made them, it's likely that you have made them or you're still making them. And I'm here basically to share my experiences with you so you guys don't have to make the mistakes that I did. Okay, before we dive in on what these mistakes are with emotes and how you can make yours stand out from everyone else on Twitch, I do stream Monday through Wednesday and Fridays at 12 p.m. Central European Time. If you guys want to catch me, links are below in the description. All right, let's get into it. The number one mistake that streamers make with emotes is that they don't offer anything new. Now this applies more to affiliates than partners, but I find it incredibly common for a streamer to have a lineup of the following emotes: a high emote, a hype emote, a love emote, and some other common variations of things that already exist out there for free on Better Twitch TV or FFC, these quality of life extensions for Twitch, like Pepe emotes. Wait, hold the phone. I think I did that when I first started off streaming. I made myself a hype emote. And as much as it pains me to show you guys, this is what it looks like. As you can see, I made the typical mistake I feel like a lot of streamers make, where it just really looks like I didn't know what I wanted out of an emote and I didn't know what to make, and that was sort of the result. Now, if your emotes look like they're run-of-the-mill and just like everyone else's, you kind of are missing on a huge opportunity to captivate a new audience and bring people into your channel. Now, a number of times I've actually seen people go out and subscribe to people just for their emotes. I can give you some really major examples here. Everyone knows Admiral Byru and his pandy emotes, or maybe even Cerno for his anime emotes. The number of people that just subscribe to these streamers just because of their lineup is actually staggering, and it's honestly quite impressive of how much of an empire they've built for themselves based on just their emotes. Some of these people don't even watch these channels or don't have time to basically catch any of their content, yet they're subscribed to them just because of their emotes. And we're not limiting it just to partners only. I've seen it happen for small streamers too. Do yourself a favor, take a look at your current lineup and ask yourself, what are you really bringing to the table with your emotes? And ask yourself, is there a way for me to make my emotes more appealing than just to my community? What I recommend is you try and differentiate yourself from all the other Twitch streamers. And I'm not saying make every emote so unique that it becomes unusable, but consider maybe 10 to 15% of your emotes should be different than everyone else on Twitch, almost like your own personal selling point or your own personal branding on emotes. Okay, to make sure that you don't fall into this trap yourself of making your emotes too unique, ask yourself, would I use this emote? What situations would I use this emote in? And can I see other people using this emote outside my own channel? I feel like once you kind of cover those three topics, you kind of are on the right track to figuring out what your next emote should be or what your emote lineup should be like. Okay, the second mistake that Twitch streamers make would be adding too many details. Now, there are three size formats that Twitch emotes come in, as according to Twitch: 112 by 112 pixels, 56 by 56, and 28 by 28. Now, what they don't tell you is that in chat, in line, all you will ever really see is 28 by 28 pixels. Now, that's an incredibly small space to work with. And I think you can get 56 by 56 on mobile, but that's a different story. So you're working with such a small space, and realistically, you don't have much real estate to work with. And you kind of have to think about how emojis are designed. Emojis are very simplistic in expression, have very clear defined expressions, and can clearly communicate what they are using as little details as possible. Now, I know this is a little bit hard because most often when I see emotes, people try and create them to be as realistic as possible and accurate depictions of themselves or the character that they're trying to create. Imagine being an emote artist and being told to make an accurate depiction of yourself as an emote, and you try to put all of those small details in there. Now it's gonna muddy it up really quickly, especially at those small dimensions of 28 by 28 pixels. It almost feels like there's too much going on in the emote. It's way too busy, it's way too overcrowded. So my recommendation is scrap all of those details and focus on one single highlighting detail of your original character, of a character that you're designing emotes after, or even yourself. If let's say you have pink hair, make sure that your emote has pink hair to define that that is you, or that's the character that you're creating. Don't go too far and don't go too needlessly with how much details that you put into the emote. All you really need to focus on is what you're trying to communicate across. And for me, that's often an expression. And that's it, just an expression, just simple lines, simple designs, even overly exaggerated expressions. Think cartoon, think anime, think about how large those eyebrows are when you're angry and how they turn downwards. Think about how big that mouth is when maybe you're shouting things in frustration. And that's kind of the essence of an emote, just something that you can see plainly even in the smallest dimensions. I had to change the scenery a little bit so I can continue recording this, but let's get back into it. So the third mistake that streamers make is not zooming into their emotes. Think about what is actually essential in an emote and how much detail is absolutely unnecessary. Does an emote really need the top of the head, or maybe even the neckline, or all the pieces of your hair? Like, just think about how much you could actually remove to just keep the essential details and to kind of hone in on that. I would say the best thing that I can recommend that people do is you take your emote and work kind of with like a crop tool. Either on your phone, it's really easy to just pull up your phone and just try and crop things in there, or take it into something more professional and just try and like see, even with your favorite emotes or your friends' emotes or any streamer that you really love, take their emotes and see how much detail can you like actually remove and pinch away with a crop tool, but still have the same essence of an emote. And I really feel like a lot of people just kind of miss that. It's because in line on Twitch, you really aren't going to get that much detail, and you really don't want people to have to hover or click your emote to be able to see what it actually is and what it expresses. So try and think about that when you're requesting an art piece from an emote artist. What do I really need? Can I ask the artist to take away all the unnecessary details? The fourth mistake that streamers make is having bad emote codes. Now, if you don't know what an emote code is, Twitch streamers basically have the first 6 characters of their Twitch username as the preface of the emote, followed by the code, and that's basically the name or what signifies what the emote is about. Now, a lot of people use overly complicated or just irrelevant emote codes that don't really tell me what an emote is about. Let's take a cry emote for an example, where you just have tears running down the face of an emote or something like that. And instead of someone naming it cry, they might name it something like snivel. Only people who are picking from an emote menu or just happen to be really avid community members of yours that they have memorized your emote code will be able to find that emote. However, the likelihood is when someone is on Twitch and trying to search for an emote, they are probably using an autofill feature which allows them to find their favorite emotes. And if they type something like cry to find a crying expression, they probably are going to find emotes associated with that code. However, they probably will not find yours if yours is called snivel, or something just as obscure. So that's a massive mistake that I find people make when people make emotes that are too hard to find. You can also do this by selecting an emote code that is overused on Twitch. Now think about all the hype train emotes that are very popular on Twitch. Whenever someone basically gifts and subs a certain amount, you start a hype train on Twitch, and Twitch rewards you by giving random users in chat emotes relevant with hype, and they generally have a hype code attached to them. If you decide to choose an emote and call it hype as an emote code, people are going to be struggling to sift for your emote among the hundreds of other hype emotes out there. I mean, maybe hundreds is an exaggeration, but there's no way to turn it off as of yet, so people will find a hard time finding your emote among all the other ones that Twitch has basically flooded people with. Now, we want to make sure that we don't fall into the pitfall of using hype as a code. We can try and look for other good words, such as party. I think it signifies the same thing, and I think people will be able to remember it. It's quite catchy and simple, and I don't think you're going to lose it among a sea of other similar emotes. Now, when picking an emote code, you want to make sure that it's short, snappy, gets to the point, and expresses exactly what your emote is about. If it doesn't express what your emote is about, people honestly will have no idea how to use it. Now, while we said that using obscure emote codes is bad, and sometimes using overpopulated emote codes is also bad, sometimes using an emote code that everyone else uses is not exactly a bad thing, because when people are trying to think of their favorite comfy emote, comfy is the word that comes to mind, not anything else. So maybe in those cases you don't really need to differentiate yourself from everyone else, because when someone is using that autofill to find their favorite comfy emote, they are going to find yours in the list. And you know, you really just gotta have to assess it on a case-to-case basis. Is it good to maybe come up with a new word? Like maybe instead of having your regular cry, maybe a smart alternative would be something like sob. It's simple, it's catchy, people would remember it. And it would allow yourself to differentiate it from everyone else's, or maybe it just represents your emote better than, let's say, a cry emote. There are different kinds of cries out there. I don't think they're all the same. Like, there's ugly crying, there's happy crying, there's weeping, wailing, no, you get the point. But it's okay to have the norm. It's okay to know when you can change it up a little bit, because maybe it expresses your emote a little bit better. And it's also okay to stay away from the emotes that are basically flooding Twitch's library. And lastly, I think one of the biggest mistakes out there that Twitch streamers can make with their emotes is never changing their emote lineup or rotating them. I feel like this is something a lot of people do, is once they kind of establish an emote in their channel, it's very, very rare that they will basically remove it, replace it unless absolutely necessary, or don't even change the art style over time. Now, consider your emotes kind of like your brand. Do brands have the same appearance forever? Do they look the same at all times, in all eras, and all periods? Are emotes always relevant? Consider a meme that you might have had in your channel, which you've created an emote for. Over time, that meme may become irrelevant and may force you to want to change that up and replace it with something that's actually more relevant to your channel at the time. Having dead emotes and dead slots really does not benefit you at all, especially if you're an affiliate and you have limited potential. And even as a partner, you do not want emotes in your lineup that just don't get used. As fun as they were in the time, sometimes it's good to just let things go. You can always change up one of your emotes to something hot and fresh that everyone is picking up on, a trend that seems to be going around on Twitch. You can even decide to rework your entire emote lineup and just go for a different design altogether. Maybe you want to update them. Maybe your appearance has changed over time. Maybe you just want to try a new art style altogether. You know what, Twitch? Not all of the emotes have to be chibi or anime style. Even though I'm kind of fond of it myself, you really can explore your options out there. There are a lot of art styles. All I'm gonna say is fresh is good, and sometimes you want to mix things up, and I think your community and other people will take notice and appreciate that as well. Now, for the very last mistake, or maybe it's not really a mistake, let's scratch that out, but I really think there's something that live streamers do not do, and that is showcasing their emotes. I just don't really see people do that. Imagine you have a fresh line of emotes that you're ready to launch, or even just one. What you should do, and this is my recommendation because I've done this before and I really enjoy doing it, is take the time to introduce the emote to your community. Show it off. Tell people how to use it. Tell people what kind of persona does it amplify. What kind of role-playing can you do with it? Maybe you can come up with witty remarks to make when using that emote, or just show them in what possible ways could you combo it with other people's emotes or other free emotes. By doing this, you're already establishing how an emote is to be used, or how you wish people to use it, and allow them to kind of like spur their creativity so that they are getting the maximum usage out of it. So now when you go into other people's channels, or when you're hanging out even in your own, your community knows how to use your emotes. But try it out, it's actually really cool. So the bottom line is emotes are actually really worth investing in. They can range anywhere between $20 and $70. It really depends on the artist out there and how much they're quoting for their commissions. But if you think about it, $20 to $70 per one emote, depending on how big your subscription pool is, and it could grow bigger just because of that emote, is a worthy investment. Now, if you're still feeling a little bit lost about what exactly these mistakes are, take a look at some of your favorite emotes on Twitch and try to take a note of what makes them actually good. Why do you enjoy them? What details makes them stand out from all the other ones that are available out there? So what is a good emote, and how do I go about making one? I know I asked myself these questions when I started off on Twitch as well, and if you guys like this discussion and you would like to see more, I'm more than happy to share some of the tools and tricks that I use to be able to come up with my own emote. So please leave a comment below if you would like to see that, and I would love to make a follow-up video. Now, if you're curious about how your emotes do compared to everyone else and need a second opinion, feel free to drop into my Twitch channel, links are below, and I'm more than happy to give you guys feedback. But that's it for me now. I'll see you guys next time.
Enjoy the break. We'll be back in a few minutes. What? Stop! Why? I have a bounty on my head! Stop! I'm just trying to go on a break! No! Leave me alone! Why are people just shooting me? I just want to play some dice. Okay, you know what? Heck, Mexico. I'm leaving. I'll go play Liar's Dice in my own land.